All right. What's up, YouTube? My name is Trayvon Bear, and this is Podcast X. It's kind of hard to say, like Podcast X.
It's
Podcast
a tongue
X.
twister.
Tongue twister. As you just heard, I got a guest. I got a co-host, actually, not a guest, sitting across from me. We're gonna be discussing our Oh, we're on the TV. Look, why does it look small? Just because of that stuff down there or something?
Oh yeah.
Open the YouTube app and chat publicly. I don't want to chat public. There we go. We're full screen. All right, back to it. Sorry. Where was I? Who am I? Trayvon Bear.
Yep.
Co-host. I haven't let him introduce himself. The one, the only, MackMan.
Hello everyone. Welcome. And glad to be here with Mr. Bear here, Trayvon Bear, and share some good conversations on some of our loved topics with Marvel and especially X-Men. So glad to be here and glad to bring some content and good conversations.
For sure. All right. So like Mackie said, we're going to be discussing X-Men, kind of some Marvel stuff along the way, but specifically X-Men 97, the new Disney Plus series that just released last week with the 2-episode premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Another episode was put out last week, which Frog did not watch yet, so we're only discussing the first
Episode
two.
1, 2, yep.
The first two. Let's give a wide shot to the camera real quick to the fans. They can see the studio, TB Custom Studio.
We're not sponsored by Marvel yet.
We're not sponsored.
We're in negotiations right now.
We're working on sponsors.
Yeah.
I'd like to sponsor. You just scrolling across the bottom down there, get your information.
Oh
down
yeah.
there. We got a list, got a little script of what we're going to be doing. Right now, we're just going to introduce ourselves again, who we are, how long we've been interested in the X-Men, just share a little bit about that stuff. And MackMan is going to go first.
Okay. Yeah, so I am a big superhero fanatic. I really have a favorite place for Marvel in general. Marvel comics have always been just kind of my go-to. And I occasionally like the DC comics and kind of dip in the DC world there. But if I were to choose out of the two, I would definitely have to go with Marvel. And so, like I said, I've been a big fan of Marvel just ever since I was little. Just like superheroes were my thing, and X-Men is kind of always been a big piece for me too. And there's kind of like some, I guess, what would you say, some history behind that. That's even why X-Men was created, like with racism and things like that. But just overall, I think that the characters are amazing. Just the story arcs and things like that. I can go into detail, but I definitely want to give time to Mr. Bear and give him some time too. But do you want me to share my favorite Marvel X-Men characters, or do you want to kind of talk about that too?
I'll introduce my side, then we'll both go over favorite characters together. Alrighty, switch this back. All right, so Trayvon Bear, obviously you're on my channel. You guys are watching. If anybody's watching, no one's watching.
Before we get started with you, I just now realized this, but your damn sweater, that's awesome. You need to show your viewers your sweater. I did it.
I was gonna show it, but I didn't know if you're gonna catch it or not.
Oh, it said FBI.
I made it this morning.
That's cool. Awesome.
The design had Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters, you know it says, but my machine couldn't cut that small. But I like it.
So kind of throwing it out there, you can make these things for people if they want those things, right? TB Customs.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Maybe your sand volleyball team looking for some shirts to get done. Let me know.
Show my shirt real quick. I want to show you what my X-Men shirt is.
What is it?
It's nothing, but it's yellow. So it's like yellow kind of there's costumes are yellow and blue. That's kind of why I wear yellow today. That's why.
All right, back to me. So the animated series back in the 90s. I was born in 95, so it was before my time. It stopped airing, or it stopped.
Yeah, I would say airing. Showing.
But they did reruns and stuff, and that's what I kind of grew up on. My oldest brother Trevor was a big Wolverine fan, and we always tease him. He was a little stocky shit, so like we always tease him that he was Wolverine. He was always tough and whatnot, So that's where my favorite character. I mean, that's the next question. I kind of leading into it, but my favorite character's always been Wolverine. But like I said, I just kind of grew up on those reruns of the animated series and then of course the movies, and then it kind of got into the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. That was kind of, I don't know, cool to see it evolve to that, I guess. But the animated series is what started for me, and I've always been a fan of. Not, I wouldn't say just comics, because I'm not a big fan of like anime and stuff like that. But like superhero comics, I guess I'm a big fan of that stuff. So it's a hobby that interest that we both share, and that's why we're here in the first place. So that's mine.
Yeah, or was you done? I didn't want to cut you off there. Okay. I'm glad you mentioned your brother Trevor, because that was something that was on my mind coming into this too. Because one of the earliest kind of memories I have was going over to your house, and then your brother, he's older than us, and so as older brothers, you kind of have like these nice things and like that. But do you remember that Wolverine game that came out a long time ago?
On Sega?
I think no, it wasn't Sega. I swear it was like either GameCube or like PlayStation 2. Okay, so yeah,
where you play like as Weapon X.
Yeah. And
PlayStation 2.
Yeah, and so anyways, I remember being at your house, and we knew he had that, and we couldn't go in his room, and and I kept trying to ask us, let's go play his game, let's go do it. No, we can't go in his room, we'll get in trouble.
If you ask him, he'll say yeah.
But I was
ask your mommy straight in the night. Yeah. If you ask her, she'll say yeah.
I was scared, so we never got to play that game. But I always remember that because he was a big fan, and I can remember.
We played the shit out of that game, and that one, and then like I mentioned, we had a Nintendo 64. Those games, I don't remember no Marvel or superhero, but we had like an old Sega, that the ones you had to blow into, and the case,
the cartridges or whatever.
And like the rectangle controllers. He had a Batman game. I think it was a Wolverine game for that. But didn't get to play those a lot growing up. But when he left and went to West, then I kind of got to take over that stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share that memory because that was something that I always remember. But just also kind of reminding, like, if we have younger viewers, like, we didn't have the luxury to just like turn on streaming services and watch these shows, like and kind of part of the reason why we're doing it on Saturdays was to kind of bring that old tradition back, where Saturday you just get up early as heck and watch cartoons early in the morning, and sometimes these shows would be playing, and so I felt like you were pretty amazing too if you like went and bought the DVD sets and you had like the DVDs too, and you can watch them whenever you want, or whatever. But yeah, so like it was good.
Those things are relics of the past.
Right.
Everyone has those, and
well, believe it or not, I still
DVD collection on there.
I still collect DVDs because you guys you're gonna regret it when all the internet goes down, and you're gonna be like, let's go borrow some movies from Mackie.
Don't pay the internet bill, and then you're stuck like, damn, what do we watch? Well, let's get into the next subtopic here. Favorite Marvel X-Men. I kind of favorite Marvel and X-Men character, and why. I already kind of mentioned mine was Wolverine. Marvel though, like Marvel Cinematic Universe, I probably have to go Iron Man. Just like Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Iron Man. I think he's born to play Iron Man. Probably up between him and Thor though. Those are probably my two favorite Marvel cinematic characters right now, and then of course, like I said, Wolverine's always been my X-Men
go-to
fave. So,
okay. So, if this is a heavy question. If we're talking about Marvel in general, I think that's a different answer. But if we're talking about the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if those don't know what that is, that's the live action movies that Disney has been putting out for many years. But I guess for the MCU, favorite character right now, and it kind of also leads into a little bit of X-Men, but so for MCU, I think my favorite character is Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. Man, I love Elizabeth Olsen's portrayal of Wanda. Before she even came on, I didn't know who the hell Wanda was, and care for her. I just seen her like a few times, but I think Elizabeth Olsen brought a lot of character and a lot of insight to her, and just the way she portrays her. And I really connect with the MCU version because throughout the MCU, she has so much trauma, like losing her family and then being displaced from her country, and then not even being considered like a human and more of like a weapon, and then also having to kill your own husband / fiance, and then it was kind of in vain. So just a lot of trauma, and like she has a lot of interesting story and things about her, and I really resonate with that, and love that about her character. So MCU, I'd say Wanda Maximoff, and then for X-Men, I've always loved Jean Grey. Jean Grey's like been my favorite, my go-to. Like she's amazing, and especially when the Dark Phoenix saga comes into play, and I kind of feel like this is where X-Men 97 is kind of leading to a little bit.
Back to that. Did you know there's a 9-part episode in the animated series? I think it's nine episodes to tell that story.
Yeah, and there's like so many iterations of it too. It's just crazy, you know. And I'm really disappointed that in the live action, so the Fox universe, they did that like
the
twice.
Fox. Okay, so there's a we got to explain that a little bit.
Okay.
So Fox, Sony, Marvel, like I don't think people will truly understand. There's a reason why X-Men hasn't been like a part of the Avengers or like the Marvel universe as we know. Where the X-Men, they were never really there, but there were X-Men movies, you know. But explain to the people that might not know the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, you know, when it comes to kind of things like that, there's rights to certain like characters in in Marvel. So the way I see it, I kind of say is like, you know, everybody has a car, but there's different brands of cars, you know what I mean? And so like Ford has their cars, Chevy has their cars. And think of it that way as like some of these companies like Fox, Disney, and Sony, all these, they have the rights to use those characters in movies. But also there's different rights to like even video games and things like that too. So really big complex. So that's why, you know, people are like, well, how come, you know, the X-Men and Avengers haven't fought or come together and things like that? It's because it also comes down to kind of think like money too. Like they want to get their bang for their buck, and they have those rights to those characters. And it's interesting too, though. The first time I think something like that where or organizations, big companies shared like a rights was when they gave Spider-Man into the MCU for the first time. And I remember back in, I think it was 15, 16, whatever, one of those years, there was talks of it. And I'm like, man, that's never going to happen. Like they just won't share rights. You know what I mean? Like it's a dream to make it happen. And then I remember one night IGN made an announcement that they came to agreement, Sony and I don't know if it was Disney at the time. I think it was maybe Sony and Disney came to agreement where they could use Spider-Man. I'm like, holy crap, this is happening, you know? So things happen, and now they're being a little bit more flexible about sharing these characters. So that's kind of like why they have challenges with having certain characters in different movies and shows and like that.
That kind of leads into the next subtopic for our intro, but I would have thought you were going to say Spider-Man was your favorite character. Marvel character.
Okay, so like I said, if we're talking about Marvel in general, like comics and stuff like that, that's kind of who came to mind. But then if we're talking about the MCU, then I wasn't say Wanda because, you know, she's in MCU. And then but he is pretty up there.
Up there, top three.
Yeah, top three.
All right, like I said, your last comment, little speech there was kind of led into our next topic here. What are the expectations of the Marvel franchise / universe moving forward? I know you mentioned X-Men fighting the Avengers, and after watching some videos on the YouTube, I saw that that could be happening. What end credit scene was it where Beast, Fox's Beast showed up? It was on the Marvel's movie, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, that, and then Miss Marvel, the Disney show.
Or Miss Marvel.
There's so many Marvel, like whatever, Marvel, all that shit.
Yeah.
But the one where at the end of the series, her friend said, "You're a mutant" or something, and then the X-Men music plays.
Yeah, next theme song. Yeah.
Cool. But is that kind of introducing X-Men back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it?
Yeah. So expectations. I think we're on a really great thing with the X-Men and stuff like that, and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there's even talks about MCU Marvel thinking about resetting a whole universe so we can do these stories over again, because we introduced some of the main hitters like Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and all these other ones. And I feel like people are kind of played out with those characters. Like they don't want them back now. They want more unique other characters to come in. But me, I love the OGs. Like I feel like we introduced them, but there's some really complex stories and interactions they have in the comics with other superheroes that haven't even been introduced yet. You know, hence like you said, the Avengers versus X-Men, like that's actual story arc. You know what I mean? And so, but yeah, if you see those little snippets through these different Marvel projects, they're slowly inching to X-Men. I feel like the first time that we've kind of got a taste of X-Men was Age of Ultron, when they introduced Wanda and Pietro, because they're mutants, you know. And then I remember they were still in talks of like having them X-Men introduced. So if you notice, like at the end of, was it Captain America? I think it was the end of Captain America, Winter Soldier, and it shows that Stryker guy, and it shows Wanda and Pietro and the like captivated in their cells, whatever. And instead of mutants, he says miracles. And so that's even crazier. You come back to, you can't even use certain words because they're associated with different rights. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yep.
So I think it's exciting. I'm excited for it. So many characters, and I think they're introducing characters that people are not familiar with too. Like they're like, man, this kind of guy looks dumb, or who's this? But they've been around for a while, you know.
It's knockoff Spider-Man.
Right.
Where was I going, or where was I going to lead off with that?
I guess, what are your expectations?
I'm just excited for the X-Men to come. I'm hoping the expectation, whatever you want to call it, is that the X-Men make it to the Marvel universe.
Would you, so like with them eventually coming into the universe, would you like to see them introduced more as a group, or would you like want individual stories and then eventually build up to X-Men being
I think
created?
they should do. That's how they did the Avengers. I felt like they didn't just, here's the Avengers.
Right.
It was Iron Man, Captain. You know, they did storylines, and then they went back and told other stories.
Right.
But I think they should do it like that.
I think so too.
Because the build up is what kind of, you know, gets people bought in.
Gets the people going.
I think I mentioned this to you before about like, that's the thing with the series and Disney Plus and like streaming stuff. It, like, for me, it takes away the build up. You know, like you see a trailer for a movie, then all right, it's gonna be out that day. And then I feel like when you get projects on streaming services, and then they kind of just carry them out, and they just, I don't know, prolong something that could have just been told in a movie. So not really for streaming things. I like what
it's like series, right? It's like,
yeah, like series, but like this X-Men 97 that we're discussing, I feel like that's different. You know, because what like you mentioned, when we were growing up, we didn't get the what's the word you use?
Yeah, like the luxury of streaming.
The luxury, yeah, the luxury of streaming, the luxury of I can go back and watch it again. You know, shit, we had to wake up.
You knew what time the episode's going to be there.
It's coming on.
What
Saturday,
time it came on. You had to prepare for that. Yeah.
So like just that plays into movies and series. So I hope, and I feel like things get rushed when they do series. Like I said, no, I guess I didn't say that. I said the opposite. That things get prolonged. I don't know. Like She-Hulk. She-Hulk was.
Don't come after my girl, man. Don't come after my girl.
You know, but that's a different story. We'll go there another time. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. So X-Men history, quick recap for those of you guys that don't know. Like MackMan had mentioned beforehand. What did you mention? I forgot what you mentioned. X-Men history. I'm just going to read the history of X-Men.
Okay.
If you don't know who the X-Men are, I'm just going to give you a quick recap of who they are. X-Men, an American comic strip team consisting of a rotating cast of mutants born with superhuman powers. Created in 1963 by Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby, the team became one of Marvel's most successful properties. Origins of the X-Men parallels with civil rights movement. That's what you mentioned. That's what it was. The original version of the X-Men was a group of teenagers, never exclusively male, despite the name, who extended Xavier's school of gifted youngsters. By all appearances, the school was nothing more than an elite college preparatory academy in Westchester County, New York. In reality, it served as a training facility and headquarters of the foremost superhero team in the Marvel Universe. All right, close your eyes, unless you kept reading. Trivia time. Who are the original 5 X-Men, not including Professor X? So yeah, the original 5.
Okay.
You should know this.
I want to say Beast.
Yep.
Cyclops. And I think they called her Marvel Girl, but it was Jean Grey. Angel. You said 5, right?
Yep. Yeah, 4. One more.
Did I say Cyclops already?
Yep.
Hang on.
I never would have guessed Angel or this last one.
Iceman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Iceman. Bobby.
I know.
What was his last name? Bobby what? It's up there, by the way, though.
Bobby Joe. Nah. I can't remember.
Bobby Joe. The team, led by the powerful telepath Charles Xavier, also known as Professor X, the first incarnation of the X-Men, consisted of an Angel, a wealthy playboy who could fly with feathery wings, Beast, a brilliant young scientist whose simian appearance and reflexes belied his intellect, Cyclops, who emitted powerful beams of concussive force from his eyes, Iceman, who could freeze objects and project beams of intense, and Marvel Girl, later known as Jean Grey, or Phoenix, who possessed the powers of telepathy and psychokinesis.
Mm-hmm.
Mutants like these were both feared and persecuted because of who they were, a theme that resonated in the United States during the Civil Rights era, and the comic addressed the relationship between the heroic X-Men and a public that did not appreciate or even want their help. Although this conflict and the genetic origin of their powers were unique, stories published under the X-Men banner developed into fairly standard battles against malevolent supervillains, and 1970 interest had waned, and by 1970 the series lapsed into reprints of old stories. Okay, so that's old school, before our times.
So did you ever own a comic book before?
Did I own a comic book?
Yeah.
Yes. Probably wasn't an X-Men. I don't remember what it was.
You don't remember what it was? Okay. Just curious.
It wasn't like, not even probably not even a Marvel comic.
Oh, okay.
Random comic book, like from the book sale at the library.
Oh, the book
school.
fair?
Yeah, the book fair. Got it with my points or whatever. So, like you mentioned, the X-Men kind of was based off of, not based, but it took things away from
inspiration, I would say.
Inspiration from the Civil Rights Movement. You want to touch base on that a little bit?
Yeah, and I think, when we get more deep into this this podcast here, I'd definitely go into depth a little bit more, but just to kind of give it an overview, during the Civil Rights and just the racism and things like that. And you can see those themes into just all stories of X-Men, and this is one of the things that I really love getting a conversation about, because it pulls like real issues and challenges of real life into these stories. And like I said, with Wanda, with her trauma, I aim to be a mental health therapist, and just understanding the effects that trauma can have on a person, that's why I really resonate with her. But same with this, like X-Men has always kind of been a favorite for me, just because of the real issues it pulls from the world. And for example, like you think of these really popular superheroes like Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, these that have these amazing powers, and in the comics they're like seen as heroes and idols, and people love them and give them so much recognition and so much positivity. But then look more into like the stories of X-Men, it's always about they have these amazing abilities just like these other superheroes, but they're labeled as mutants, and they're trying to do the same thing, help people, use their abilities to help people, but they're also put that mutant label onto them. So like that kind of comes back to like the idea of segregation and racism and things like that, and just kind of treating them ugly. And so I think it's fascinating to see like those different challenges in the stories where they're trying to use their abilities to help people, and sometimes they help people and they still get treated ugly, and I don't know if we can cuss on here or not, so that's kind of so like they just get treated really ugly, and like they're trying to help people, but it just comes back to the idea of like segregation and like you're a mutant, and I don't let's treat you ugly, because then in a comics it's always about from us. You're different, and like comes back to like I don't want my kids in the same school as mutant kids, and that's why the kids, when they get their, so sometimes their mutations don't come until their puberty, or sometimes they weren't born with it, but when they get their mutation around puberty, they try to hide it because they don't want to be ostracized or put a label on and stuff like that. And you'll see some characters in the stories where like, I don't want people to know I'm a mutant, or I don't even want to tell my parents, and it's almost coming like connected to like maybe a person coming out, like their sexuality too. They're so ashamed of it and ashamed of who they are as a person, you know? So yeah, just really, like I said, I want to go more into depth in a future episode, but I can go all day about that.
No, we will. We're going to get into X-Men 97, the actual series. You want to tell people what the X-Men 97 series is?
Yeah, so it's a continuation of the original
literal continuation.
Literal
it picks
continuation.
Up right where. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. No, it's like you said, a literal continuation of where we left off back in '97. Hence, like you said, X-Men 97. And so I was curious to like how that was going to happen too. Like I was like thinking, is it going to reboot or is it going to be a new story? But yeah, after watching these 2 episodes, and I kind of shared that too, and I kind of missed that, but it's just picking up off where they left off from, you know, the last episode. Spoiler alert for those that haven't watched, but it's been out many years, so you should have been watching episodes. But Charles Xavier died in the last, you know, last season, you know, and so, you know, that's where they pick up from it. Like Cyclops is feeling this responsibility of taking on the team, and you know, we'll go into that more about the episode there. But yeah, it's just really picking up from those stories back then. So it's just, and I think a lot of people are like, it's really popular. Let's bring it back and that's kind of where they're at, is picking those stories up and not kind of rebooting it or anything.
Yep. Like
Does that answer the question?
Yep.
Okay.
Obviously, the 97, the year it stopped airing, and this is, like I said, a literal continuation. So I went back and watched the animated series during COVID. You can find the animated series on Disney Plus. So if you haven't watched it, I suggest you go there and watch it. But let's get into this first episode. Episode 1 was To Me, My X-Men, which is a catchphrase that Professor X would use. And in the trailer for X-Men 97, they actually showed Cyclops using it. And that's kind of like the X-Men's Avengers Assemble, you know? So to see Cyclops kind of say that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
So I went first last time, and you can go first this time.
So things that I liked, disliked, and then overall, and then at the end I have a favorite Easter egg / callback. So you want to go things that I liked, then things that you liked.
Go back and forth. Like yeah, we can do that.
All right. So things that I liked, and then you can talk about, and if it's something that you like too, we can just talk about it there.
Okay.
Things that I like, the way they have Cyclops using his powers during battle. So like with that first fight scene in episode 1 of X-Men 97, it wasn't just Cyclops like using his laser to shoot people down or whatever. He was using it to like move around. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Cause like he went to like he was in the warehouse, I think, to go save us. Is that Sunspot?
Yeah.
Roberto?
Yeah, Roberto Rodrigo or Rodriguez?
Olivia Rodrigo. No, it's
that singer,
favorite artist or something. Singer, yeah. But no, I just thought that was cool because Cyclops has always kind of been like a little bit of a badass, but then, you know, he's kind of a bully sometimes, but he's just like straight on badass. Yeah, he's kind of straight on a badass. They're showing him to really like be a badass in this series is what I'm kind of taking from that, but he's not just a one talent guy with his little laser beam, but he can use it in different ways. And then the way they portrayed Storm I thought that was pretty cool, especially when they were fighting the Sentinels and they kind of all stop in the Omega threat level detective.
Yeah.
That was cool. Because I didn't even notice she was in the battle. That's kind of fucked
you know
up.
what? You're taking the words out of my mouth.
You know, like, because that's kind of how they portrayed Storm too. Like, same with Cyclops. Like, Storm's supposed to be like Omega, like they say Omega's
level
like
threat, yeah.
Dog, like fucking, pretty sick. So like I didn't even notice she was in that battle. And then you know they bring in Cyclops brings her in with that little corny catchphrase, which is pretty cool. And then the other part that I liked, I mean I liked a lot of it, but these are kind of the things that stuck out the most. The scene where Gambit charges up Wolverine's claws, and then fucking tosses him in their master mold to just decapitate him. That was pretty cool. Because those are like my two. Well, Wolverine's my favorite, but Gambit's also my
oh yeah, he's one of your favorites too, huh? Yeah.
So things that you liked.
Everything you just said. No, I'm just kidding. That was one of the first things I noticed too with the Cyclops was just the way he used his powers and things like that. Like he used it kind of shift around the battlefield and stuff like that. And then, spoiler alert, there was one point, and it was the beginning of the episode, but they're in the warehouse and they take his visor, and it sounds like he's not gonna be able to do anything. Yeah, but then he's like,
nah.
Yeah. And it's like, I know people are making jokes about that too, but then, he still can use his vision or his abilities with that too, without his visor or whatever. So I thought that was amazing too, but definitely love like the new looks of some of the team members too, so like Storm, she didn't have a mohawk in
There was one episode she did.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, so like it was, where like Cable or Bishop, one of them was time jumping, and they come
the
universe where Storm and Wolverine are getting jiggy with it, and they're in a relationship, and that's kind of her look with the mohawk, and the cut off. So I guess
I totally forgot that part.
I wouldn't have known that. Like I said, I watched some other reviews too, and somebody made mention to that. So
well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that, like I said, like I really love the new look for some of our characters. I know, so like a new look for who else was it? Now I'm losing my train of thought.
Yeah, Rogue. They did some work with their hair.
Yeah, Rogue. Okay.
Morph, obviously, his changeling form, and then Magneto.
And I guess I like the new additions too, because I don't really remember Bishop and Morph being a part of the team, right?
Bishop was supposed to join, is what I heard. Okay. And then they wrote him off, but he was in the Days of Future Past, remember?
Oh, I love that.
Morph wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get more into that.
We'll get into that.
So I love like they introduced that new characters, and I love that they're kind of going that area with Jean Grey being pregnant with their son. That's going to be opening up a lot of can of worms too. So I love that there, and I guess I was kind of like surprised how the theme of it, and it's like not too childish, and I feel like it's almost kind of engaged for like older and adults, you know what I mean? And you gotta think,
if you think about it, that's who grew up watching it, right? The adults, because like when I saw the trailer, I just saw a bunch of reviews of these older comic book nerds and diehard fans and stuff, kind of more than us. Obviously we're not that into it, but like these guys are just
speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
I see like just people crying, people like flipping out. Like I'm not at that level, but I'm a fan, but I'm not that.
Not a diehard fan.
Yeah, I'm not a diehard fan. Okay, what else did you have?
I think, and then like honestly, everything you kind of said, I was like, that's the things that I stood out for me too, like the Omega threat when Storm was coming in, and also like the Storm's powers too, like before I feel like it was hard for her to use it, and like there was like a meme or a joke going on about like, I hope this season, like when they start using her powers and after they're done they faint or whatever, because a lot of that happened in the series, like when they would use their powers they would
get
faint.
Like, drained or whatever.
Yeah, and so like like Storm, like she was killing it with her powers, and she's Omega level threat mutant, so they were showing that off, so I love that too about that. But was it the first episode that their X-Jet was destroyed, right? Or was that the second one?
This round? Or what do you mean, like in the animated series?
Yeah, because they were coming to see the Master Mold and they destroyed their X-Jet, right? And that's when Cyclops uses beams.
No, it was the second one.
Was it the second one?
First one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I was impressed too. Like he used his beam to
slow down.
Yeah, like nobody was picking up, but he didn't look worried about it. So I thought that was interesting too. But those are some of the things I liked about the first episode. I
told Marisol, I was like, just someone catch Cyclops, let Wolverine fall. He'll be all right in about 2 minutes. He'll up. But is that all your likes?
Yeah.
Like I said, I liked a lot of it, but those are the things that stood out the most.
One more thing. Okay. So one more thing that I did like. So with Morph, I like that it's an opportunity to bring in cameos of different X-Men, even though they're not really part of the story. So like at one point there was a Sabretooth. At one point there was a
Blob.
And at one point he was Angel. He turned into Angel to catch Archangel to catch when they were falling there. But that was one piece I liked too. Is like that's an opportunity to bring in cameos of different mutants.
All right, that kind of leads into my dislike now.
Okay.
I just like Morph. At first, I guess I like the first episode because talking about the first episode. But like you mentioned, it's a way to bring in cameos. which is cool, but then it's kind of like a cop out, like oh, there's gonna be a cameo of Hulk, but it's really just gonna be fucking Morph like dancing or something in the background. But I mentioned it to you before, like people really, the kids back in the 90s really liked him, so that's why because originally he died off, like we said that he died off in the second episode, I think it was in the animated series, but the kids liked him, so they brought him back. I was like, you had him for 2 episodes. You guys liked him that much in the 2 episodes and brought him back? But he died off second or so episode, season 1, but they brought him back. Not so much. Like I said, I don't like him. I don't know what it is, because his character is kind of OP, like I said. He's like Mystique, who's another shapeshifter, but we were talking about it. I think Morph gets their full-on powers where Mystique doesn't. But just how he looks is what I don't like. It's just kind of ugly to say, but
like his like, are you, when you say like his looks, are you talking more like his like physical looks or like his outfit and stuff, or I guess like
just
what?
like his the changeling look, and then after looking into it, but then after like thinking on it and whatnot, I was like, oh, it kind of makes sense. He's accepted, because that was kind of part of his story in the animated series, like he wasn't accepted for who he was.
Oh, okay. So like he would be changing all the time or something.
So like so like when he's kind of accepted, this is who I am, this is what I look like, so I typed that up like right away as a dislike, but like I explained, they're kind of growing to like him a little more, because he does, like you said, he bring in those cameos and characters that you might not have thought you were gonna see. Something you disliked?
Something I disliked, and I think it's just part of the theme of this show, because I was wondering too, that was one thing I was thinking about, like, okay, so this is a continuation of previously, so is like we still gonna be stuck in that time period of the 97, with like what this clothes look like, food, media, because at one point, there was like a Walkman that someone had in the show, whatever.
Oh, yeah, it got broke.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, we're gonna still stay stuck in that time period, which is cool. I don't mind that. That's not a problem for me. But what also comes with that is the cheesy one-liner and humor that was back in 97. I could see they're keeping that theme in the.
But I'm sorry to cut you off, but as a kid, were you like, did you catch yourself saying those things, and like when you go out and play?
Yeah. I guess
so, like, I think
more...
like at the time, like they're aimed for the kids, to enjoy. Then now, obviously, as an adult, like that's kind of cheesy, that's kind of corny, but like that's some.
It's like dad jokes, you know what I mean? In a way, kind of, yeah. It's so like it was just kind of cheesy, and then like I guess I didn't realize how like. And I know that's your boy, but they made Wolverine kind of corny in a way, a little bit, and I keep forgetting, like, in the series, because in my mind, I keep seeing Wolverine up here and Cyclops right here, and I love Cyclops. Like, I love Cyclops more than Wolverine, but, so before the show, that's kind of where my mindset is, but then I'm reminded that in the show, they're trying to push Scott or Cyclops to take the lead and be the team leader, and so, like, Wolverine's just kind of on his back seat, and I don't like that idea. I kind of want Wolverine to take the reins, but I guess that's probably make a personal preference.
I think it's that side of it's because, like I said, I'm a big Wolverine fan, but I think it's more so because I think you could feel that way more so because of like the Fox universe. They really pushed.
We're so used to like spotlighting him.
Yeah, it's so used to spotlighting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and then like. There wasn't a Cyclops standout movie. Yeah. How many Wolverine movies has there been? You know? So I think that kind of plays a part in it. Because, back in the animated series, Cyclops was obviously one of the OGs. And then they brought Wolverine in later on. But Cyclops was always the next in line. That's why Professor X kind of left him in charge. And then Wolverine's always like that little buggy little brother that just pushes your buttons all the time. Right. That's kind of how he treats Cyclops, I feel. Yeah,
they go back and forth. You know what I mean? And like, I guess I can see that's part of like their character meshing together or like connecting. But at one point, I really want them to like, come on, guys, let's just get over it. Let's just get along and support each other. Remember,
like they both have a thing for Jean.
So. And you can see those different things.
There's a bunch of memes. You see the meme stuff of Wolverine holding the picture.
But even like through these 2 episodes that we're covering, you can see little small snippets of like Wolverine still kind of having that jealousy with what they have,
Yeah. Overall, I liked the first episode more than I disliked it. Obviously, it was good reintroduction of the characters for people who may not have known them. So like if you got the kids that are, the parents that are introducing the kids to them, I actually watched a review where they said the pilot episode for 97, the first episode is basically kind of just how the original pilot episode was for the animated series, but it was Jubilee, the one getting saved, not Sunspot. What else was there? It all kind of like just called back to that, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think even in the intro, I remember the song, which is I'd share this, like when I put the episode on and that theme song just came on. It was different, but man, it gave me chills, and it's hard to give me chills like that. But I just felt so chill, and I was like, man, this is awesome, But then in the intro part, there's a scene where it shows Jubilee running, and then like she runs to a cage, or whatever.
Fence?
Yeah, or the fence. Cage, yeah, but it shows Sunspot instead.
That was in episode 2.
Okay.
Because they're changing the intro, like almost the scene there.
Yeah.
Almost every episode is pretty cool. But I have that on here. It gave us solid battle scenes with the theme music playing when they fought the Sentinels. Did you find yourself like humming along? Me and Marisol were watching it together, and I was really getting into it. I was getting into it. Got goosebumps, when that music came on and whatnot. Had those corny one-liners I have here that I thought were badass when we were kids, but it's a little
cringe. Does it feel kind of cringe right now a little bit?
It's kind of cringe, yeah, but it's just the writers like staying true, because like you said, it's 97. It's supposed to be 97. And like you said, there's stuff from 97 that they showed, like the way Gambit wore a crop top and the cutoff in their basketball scene and whatnot. I feel like it mentioned Xavier's death / leave of absence a little too much. Spoiler alert. I'll just say it before. I'm not good at announcing those, but for people who don't know what happened at the end of the animated series, it was a good kickoff episode, 97.
I guess we didn't warn our viewers, if we have any viewers now, that if you guys go back and watch. But the idea is to watch the episodes before watching our podcast, right? Because we're going to talk about what we liked and disliked. So
put it, spoiler alert.
Yeah, disclaimer out there. We're going to be talking about the episodes.
And we're doing it on Saturday morning. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, 4 days before our episode or before our show. So overall, first episode.
Overall, so I was, if I'm being honest, the first episode didn't quite impress me too much. After the first episode, I was kind of like, oh, is this how the episodes are going to be? I'm not, is this just going to be like kind of a one-off show where it's like it had this potential, then it didn't live up to what I was expecting. But when I watched the second episode, it really kind of reaffirmed me and like, okay, I'm in it. This is going to be a good ride. You know what I mean? So like the first episode wasn't really like a attention grabber that I wanted, but it was a good kind of like, what would you say, reminiscing of what it was and what it's like, and it also kind of helped me understand, okay, this is what I need to put my expectations at for the rest of this season. You know what I mean? So talking about we're in the 97 era, we're going to kind of keep these cheesy one-liners and things like that. And also just kind of remind ourselves like where the story was left at from last time. So not as engaging, but I love to see also the animation. Like they kind of stick with what it was, but also kind of looks good too. You know what I mean? So yeah, if I were to rate it, I would say the first episode was 6-7 out of 10 for me.
Pretty good. You mentioned the animation. I watched some reviews after episode 1 and whatnot, and they said that during the animated series there was a limit on what they could spend on animation, and then like after season 3 or 4 or something, the animators, they use different animation groups. So like that's why people look different.
Oh, okay, shift, yeah.
But then that's something I'm gonna touch base here on episode 2. Do you want to take a little break? We can take a little break real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna take a little break. Take 5, not 5, but quick break. We'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back. Break is over. Real quick, back to episode 1. Favorite Easter egg / callback.
Favorite Easter eggs and callback.
Not the corny one-liners.
Yeah, not the corny one-liners. I don't know if it was necessarily Easter egg, but I think it's maybe hinting at something. But it's in the first moments of the episode when they show like a wide shot of the what would you call it, factory that they're in, like a factory
warehouse.
Warehouse, yeah. But if you look at the light pole, I don't know if you notice it. It shows an individual and it says missing on there, and it looked like Jean Grey. And I was like, so Jean's missing, but you know, obviously she's not because we go into the story. But there is something there, and I think they put it there for a reason. You know what I mean? So that kind of caught my eye, but not really an Easter egg. But that was something that kind of a detail that I noticed. But other than that, I didn't really, you know, have any favorite Easter eggs or callbacks really.
Did you see the Morlocks and is that what they called, the Morlocks, the Warlocks? Remember those, the mutants that went underground, Toad?
Yeah, but isn't that the second? They were in an alleyway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I didn't.
That's the same scene.
Because
I thought it was a boy at first.
So they beamed over and then it shows them, but then they go into the shadow,
and they go
right?
into darkness.
Okay, yeah.
It was the little green guy.
I know. Okay.
At first I thought it was a boy. Then I rewatched his. Hey, that's I can't. It wasn't Leech. I think it's his name.
Yeah, Leech.
And then did you notice and I saw these on the reviews that I watched. Because I don't fucking pause and
right.
hunt for shit. But the Stark logo.
No.
Yeah, and the Times Square where they show like the downtown City Street.
Wow.
There's a Stark logo.
I missed that.
But my favorite Easter egg, more of a callback, was the original X-Men picture in the Jack Kirby. So like we have that one up there.
Yeah.
Remember, like there, especially towards the end of episode when Cyclops keeps referring back to that, it gets broken by that basketball. But that was actually in the Jack Kirby, the original artist, the one that drew that. That was in that style, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I
noticed that right away.
I think that's the first time though that series ever referenced like a picture of that like that though.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they ever showed them in their classic costumes like that, and ever kind of discussed that. Yeah, this is the first class, you know. But I thought that was amazing too. Now that you say that, like, just kind of have that big portrait of like a reminder of where we were, and now we're here.
So that leads into. We're done with episode 1. All right, congrats. Mutant Liberation begins. Episode 2. Obviously, diehard fans would know Mutant Liberation. That's kind of Magneto's whole spiel, goal, whatever. He kind of references that and says that at the end of the last episode in the animated series. And I'll just dive right into the things that I liked. Was that Magneto reminded us just how much of a badass he is, but with that, he really, because like in where he's episode 2 starts off with that Ferris wheel tipping over, but he just comes in and saves it really easy,
right.
They say, oh, is he turning heel or is he going to be a good?
Because they were claiming him as a terrorist, mutant terrorist.
They said mutant terrorist, yep. And that's just based off of everything from the animated series. He was kind of he was the main villain, but that's kind of where I was going with this. With that, I really like how this episode kind of shows us how important Professor X was to Magneto throughout the whole animated series. They battled. They teamed up together a couple times, but for the longest time, Magneto was the X-Men's main villain. So after the death of, and in Magneto's own words on the last episode of the animated series, was my only equal and perhaps my only friend. Magneto is trying his hardest to carry out his friend's dream out of pure respect for him, because Professor X is gone, dead. He doesn't have to. Really doesn't owe him anything, but like just respected him so much. What was that? I thought that was pretty cool. It was just a reminder of the types of friends we have in our lives, like we have friends, and then we have friends that we will stop being a villain and go and be the headmaster of a private school for us. So levels to this shit. Things that you like. Episode 2.
This, like I said, I was a little hesitant on episode 1, but 2 is really where it pulled me in, and really kind of emotional there too. and it was just really, well, I was kind of shocked at the end of, we kind of knew this was coming through the trailer that was shared for 97, but at the end of episode 1, when, you know, Magneto was in there and he's like his final will and testament and stuff like that, and he had that book.
Oh, they said that in the trailer, huh?
Yeah. And as soon as I seen that, because he said, you know, now you're my X-Men or whatever, I'm like, motherfucker, you let me read that testament. I want to see what it says in there, you know, because who wrote this testament? You know, was this by Xavier and was it signed by an attorney? You know, so I was thinking all that stuff because I was like, I was thinking that too, like Xavier really left this to them, and I'm thinking like, is there some core, you know, was a course into it? Is it an actual legit, you know? So I'm just kind of curious about that, because then when we go into episode 2, I'm also like caught off guard too, where Magneto just goes immediately into helping people all across the world, and I'm just like, where's this shift of character coming from? You know, why this? You know, and so just really kind of made me think about that. But yeah, it really kind of was a Magneto story too, and just kind of just talking about like you know, a redemption story. You know what I mean? And one thing that I did like about it too was the connection between Storm and Jean too, where, you know, Storm called her sister. Oh yeah. And Jean talks about, and I think it's a legit concern in their world, is like at one point she was just kind of ashamed to say it, but she's like, I want my baby to be a human because I don't want them to constantly be worried about this and that and be on guard and things like that. And so she's just worried about her baby, and I think that's like that just shows also like the segregation and effects of like racism and things like that. Like, I don't want them to be a mutant, I want them to be human, so it's less a burden on them, you know. But then Storm kind of reaffirms her, you know, I would not have found this place without my mutant powers and stuff like that. So I love that piece too. And then I don't know if you're gonna cover it, but like the part where Magneto takes him up to the sky, was you gonna talk about that, or did you already talk about that?
No, I have it on here, but you can go ahead. I'll touch base on it.
Okay. Well, I thought that was a powerful scene. You know, you got it. I just thought like kind of emotional, because I thought, okay, this motherfucker, he's gonna drop these guys. Like, he didn't change.
Like he did. Like, that's I have where he takes the judges and the executioner above the clouds, sheds a tear. I thought he was going to go back to being I thought he was going to drop him, honestly.
Yeah, I did too. Because I was like, why is he taking these motherfuckers? Like, where they're going to the sky, you know what I mean? But one part that really hit me for this episode was, spoiler alert for everybody that didn't watch episode 2, you should have been watching it, was Storm getting her powers taken. I was just like, no, you know, and I knew something was going to happen like that when that gun, because then I remember when that guy was working on that gun, it showed like 0, then it turned to 1, and I was like, okay, does he have 1 bullet or something for it? And it hit my girl, and man, she just, when she was like sitting in her face, she's like, I can't feel the breeze or the moisture, and she was hurt, you know what I mean? I took that from her, and then, you know, at the end of the episode, you know, Hank is just like, Beast is just like, this is permanent, you know? And I'm like, what the frick, you know? So I'm thinking, no, it can't be pregnant. It can't be permanent. Like, she's got to get her power back. Pregnant. You know, she's pregnant. Shot with a gun, got pregnant, and took her powers away. But I'll give you some time, Mr. Bear. I could take the whole conversation on.
No, it's like you said, that scene or that part where Magneto took him up. That was, I like that part. Just showed us, like I said, how much of a badass Magneto is. Another thing that I liked, kind of disliked it, was Wolverine's role in that episode. Turned to like a nurse, or what is it called when you have someone
like
help?
Like a wet nurse, or not a wet nurse, but like no. Like a RN or
something. You know, like stay at home. Take care of whatever they're called. That's what he was basically. It showed. It didn't involve in any fighting. Didn't give us a chance to see. It did give us a chance to see some humor from him though, when she's like, "He's coming." Then he pulls out his claws. He's like, Apocalypse or something. That was pretty funny. I started laughing. And it's just like when Wolverine does have something smart ass to say or like something funny, it's just like straight to the point and just like it's, you know, it just makes you smirk and laugh. But he doesn't do it a lot, but it's simple and straight to the point, like I said. Something I disliked, I don't like how Magneto looks. I know like in the comics that outfit is like a major key, kind of shows, you know, it's a new step for him, whatnot. But like just like the new animation, like we touched base earlier, just like the extra shadows, it kind of all plays into it and looks a little, I don't know, like in the animated series he was more dark, you know. And but I think because just along the line of the story and stuff, it's showing a different side of him.
Right,
so
right.
That kind of plays into it.
Like character development, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get more dialogue from him and stuff instead of just the dang, knock out the humans or whatever. And him and Rogue have a thing going on. I don't like that. Not a fan of that.
Okay,
because that's my boy Gambit's
we
thing.
can agree upon that. And I'm just like, what's going on here?
There's an age difference.
I'm gonna say like there's some sugar daddiness going there or something. Like I didn't feel it either. I don't know.
But
and
looking into, I guess the comics, they do have a
okay. So I was gonna ask you because I don't recall them having some kind of like romantic relationship in a series, but I need to rewatch it a little bit better and see that.
No, it wasn't in the animated series.
It's just in the comics.
It's just like in the comics.
Okay.
So I had to go back and look. But they do have like a little relationship. He can actually like
touch her.
Her big thing is touch. She can't touch people because she drains them or whatever. But he can actually like make a electromagnetic field around his body, so they can touch and whatnot. So that's kind of big for her.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Dislike. Did you say dislike?
So dislike, I would have to agree with. I swear we're on the same wavelength, dude. Like his look, it wasn't appealing to me. Like I'm more of his costume. I do love like the long hair. I like that piece just because I have long hair. Nah, but I thought that was a good. I thought that was good. A part of his costume or his design. I would, but it just takes a long time to put together. Nah, just kidding. But yeah, it's his costume. I wasn't really too impressed with it, and then like the whole Rogue and him kind of romantic relationship wasn't really feeling that. And I know it's gonna cause some friction with Gambit
Love
now.
triangle.
Yeah,
Love triangle.
and I'm just like, man, so I didn't really care for that. But another thing I didn't like too was like Aura Monroe or Storm like left. Like I know you're hurt, but like I really hope she comes back. I just hope this isn't one off, like she's done because like she's a popular one. But I was hoping it'd be more kind of dynamic in a relationship where she can sense like I don't belong here because I'm not a mutant, but you are my family still. So I didn't like that she just left right away, and then what else was it? There was one more thing, but I guess those are the kind of the things that stuck with me that I didn't really like. And then man, what else was there? I think that's about it for now for me. Oh, and I didn't like the Executioner's design. I didn't really care for his design.
He looked like a villain from Avatar, the little long face and eyes, like Avatar: Last Airbender. You mentioned Storm leaving, like went from "You're my sister,"
Girl, bye.
If my kid's human, maybe since now you're human, you can take care of my kid.
I didn't even think about that.
It's fucking selfish.
Yeah, she's like, I'm out of here. Bye.
Shit, I'm out. I'm human, motherfucker. Favorite Easter egg callback: hospital scene. So I like when they showed up to the hospital and the doctor refused to serve, remember? And he was like, I don't serve your kind. You can,
Rogue, like, take his ability to operate.
But
whatever.
like that just touches base on like the civil rights movement, and like it kind of showed like what people went through, people that were considered different went through at even hospitals where these people took an oath.
Yeah, people of color. They were just treated differently.
I thought that was kind of a cool, like unfortunate, but it was like cool that they stuck to that and showed that. And then the scene where the UN, they come from Magneto at the X Mansion, and they had I don't think they said they were plastic guns, but they weren't metal, so he couldn't fuck with them.
Right.
But it reminded me of the movie where he says plastic. They've learned. Remember Ian? Where was it?
Last Stand.
Last Stand, where they're on
the island
or whatever, and he says that plastic. They've learned. I said that to myself when they were coming out, like before she even because obviously they fucking learned their lesson, pointing a gun at Magneto a bunch of times. But then it was cool too that he picked up the helicopters and was like, I can still fucking, like I said, this episode showed us how badass Magneto is. Like, he just lift up them helicopters and about to chop their heads off. But that one girl, that director lady, she didn't flinch. She just those guys with the guns. They kind of got scared, but she just stood there and kind of stared him down.
Is Mystique dead?
I don't remember. I don't think she is. I don't think anybody's ever dead in the comic book world.
Because I have a feeling that girl's Mystique for some reason. I'm getting those vibes because she's like really like stern woman, And she was Senator Calley in the animated series. Like she, you know, like how they did in a movie or in a movie.
But he was in the animated series, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like one of the senators that was pushing for like, you know, anti-mutant laws and stuff. Yeah.
But that lady was like a friend of Professor X and helping and whatnot. So I don't know.
Okay.
That was episode 2. Favorite Easter egg callback from episode 2?
I don't know if it's like a callback, but I think more of an Easter egg. Like they finally had their baby, and they named him Nathaniel. Nathan, was it Nathaniel? Nathan. Yeah, Nathan
Charles Summers.
Yeah. And if y'all know who that is, like
motherfuckers, you better know. If you don't know, you better learn.
That's what I'm saying. That open whole can of worms there. So I thought that was a good Easter egg. I'm just curious to where that's gonna be going. And then also like you know, when Jean went into that guy's brain in the first episode, and she kind of had that spasm and kind of seemed like a vision. You know, I think that needs to something too, or that's something to keep in mind as well. But yeah, I think that's it for me for episode 2.
That's all we got for this go around. Because Frog has to watch episode 3. I was ready to talk about it, but it can wait. Do 2 episodes a week or something. That'd be pretty. No, because we have to wait 2 weeks. How does that work?
So we
get caught up.
So this next podcast we can do 2 episodes. Yeah, we do 3 and 4, and then after that it'll just be 1.
Then you get your shit together and start watching.
Yeah.
All right, trivia. You got a trivia question? Something you can think of? Fun Marvel fact.
So I have a trivia question for you.
Let's hear it.
And I noticed it episode 2. So in the, beginning,
Professor X.
In the beginning of the Cerebro. In the beginning of the episode, you know how it has like the logos and stuff like that, where it shows like, you know, like when an MCU movie comes, it says Marvel Studios.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that.
The intro.
Yeah. What was the intro for this show for episode 2? What was the logo, or what did the logo say? Do you remember?
I watched the review too. I saw Spider-Man was on there. Are you talking like what is red and says Marvel?
Yeah, so like what does the actual title say? It's not Marvel Studios. It says Marvel, but not Marvel Studios.
Say Marvel Animation.
Yes, and I think this is the first time they put that on a project. So that's
that's cool.
That was my question for you. But yeah, so good job for getting that. But that's awesome because that
was a guess though.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, Marvel, it is Marvel Animations, and it's amazing because like if you look in the background, you know. Well, it shows. I
mentioned like Spider-Man. I'm sorry to cut you off, but they did a review that I watched. They mentioned like the original Spider-Man design or something was included in that. Yeah, and there's some other stuff too. I think Fantastic Four. Did you see them?
Yeah, and then like some of the What If episodes were in it too. So
like on the Disney series.
Yeah, so it makes me feel good. Like there's a whole new division now just for like Marvel Animation now, or maybe has it always been? I guess that's the first time I ever noticed that logo on there.
Well. I don't know, honestly, but I know like the What If series. Have you watched that? It's pretty cool. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I think they should do with that more than stream. Like get your animations on Disney series and stuff instead of your.
Are you open to like a? Don't come after my girl, man. We're gonna have the conversation about that. But are you open to like how the MCU is, but with the animation world, or no, or just keep their own separate stories?
Like the story.
So like say like so this X-Men one
be in canon where like if they talk about in the animation, it should line up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, so like I'm thinking more like you know how the MCU pulls all these characters in together, but they somehow mesh together. Do you think the Marvel animation project should have their own kind of MCU and it don't connect with the live action? Like so like this X-Men series.
So the opposite of what I said.
Yeah,
it's not canon with that.
It's not canon. Yeah. Like, would you be open to that?
Yeah, I would be down. Like, obviously, you want X-Men to be just straight X-Men 97. You hope to carry on that. And they had crossovers.
With Spider-Man?
You know, meshed, but that doesn't mean that was a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've known for the last decade or so. So I would be for it. That'd be cool, I think, because then you can kind of focus solely on the X-Men. You can tell stories through them instead of well, that's not how they did that, you know, like it shouldn't be like that, you know, you should
and yeah, and I think with this new series too, like we should focus on telling new stories, but also like pieces of kind of stories we already know, you know, it's like the Dark Phoenix saga we know, or the Days of Future Past, we know those stories, but we don't have to retell them the same way. We can take pieces of them and tell a new version of that story. That's kind of what I would like. You know what I mean? Because what's the purpose of like watching a show that we already know what's going to happen? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Frog mentioned Frog. He's Frog sometimes. So.
Frog,
MackMan. Frog, bro. Mentioned that he has Cyclops costume that he's going to be wearing next episode. I will say this: I already watched episode 3. You're in for a treat.
Oh my gosh!
I want you to, if you enjoyed it, you got to wear your Cyclops costume.
Okay.
Next episode.
I think I already got like a spoiler online. I know there's 2 Jean Greys because it ends like that at episode 2.
The cliffhanger, which we didn't touch base on.
Yeah.
You kind of get an idea of, and then if you're comic book savvy, you kind of know where that leads. But it's a good episode.
Okay.
It's a good episode. I could just start talking about it. Anyway, talk about it. Anything you want to end on? Anything you want to say?
No, but big shout out to you, Mr. Bear, T Bear here. All of our graphics, the setup, the conversation, the script. I really want to give him a shout out.
I noticed that. I looked on the screen and we're both like this a couple times on the screen.
Just put them down. You'll catch us do like movie references and quotes all the time in the show, so get used to that. But big shout out to you, Mr. Bear. Thank you for putting this together. I'm excited for this project. Also for our viewers, thanks for tuning in and just like being a part of this conversation. Also encourage you to be part of this conversation, like the comments, or even reach out to me and Mr. Bear before the podcast. Maybe we can have a guest. Maybe we can answer some of your questions. But this is just more of an opportunity to engage you with the interest that we like, as in X-Men 47. Yeah, nerd out together. Nerd out.
I like that. All right, guys, that's all I got. That's Frog. This is MackMan checking out. This is T-Bear checking out. We'll see you next Saturday. Until then, peace.